Hi everyone, and welcome to an unusually deserted marketplace here on Orion, with many of the locals already having left for pastures new. If that's you, on whichever server you were, I hope your transfer went well and you are having fun now on the new one. I haven't taken the plunge yet. I'm going to leave it until everything is going much quicker. I did hear something as well about anybody with things that they've earned through favor, like the favored soul class or the artificer or stuff like that, or maybe the inquisitive or Feydark trees is going to have trouble as well. Now that would be several of my characters. My druid has a big Feydark investment. My ranged character Red has, although he's a pure arty, he's stolen some bits out of inquisitive. So I'm definitely going to wait until at least that's been resolved. Otherwise, several of my characters are going to become unplayable as a result. One good thing about all this transfer business, it's pushed us to clear out the guild chests, which in my case was basically just piles and piles of two double-slotted items, some of which will come in handy, but it was totally not needed to have all that. And a lot of it, for instance, armor, would probably very rarely, if ever, have been used because it's almost always part of a set for leveling. But clearing that stuff out did lead us to consider in future what nice things we could put, to make use of that space, the non-bound to account stuff. So rare potions like invisibility and radiant force field, crafting materials, a whole array of augments, many of which are not bound to account, alchemical crafting blanks. I particularly like the shields. You can put your main stat, spell power, and crit on those. So, yeah, I think some good is going to come of that in the long run, at least for me. Brian, you should be pleased. There's a semblance of organisation coming to the proceedings. Otherwise, I was a bit shocked at the first aborted transfer. I mean, all right, it wasn't ideal for any of us, but some of the over-the-top reactions in that 30-odd page epic were enough to probably to do a decent psychology paper, I would have said. I'm going to leave it there. So, I have made it to the cap on the first ever melee that I've taken that far. As mentioned, it's going to be the Vanguard Paladin. I'm going to give you a little look at the trees, the gear, the things that make it tick, and hopefully a little look at the play style, not making too much of a balls of it. I would like to take the opportunity to thank Mech Graber for his very comprehensive build guide and all the infos he's put in there. If any of you are at all interested, I'd encourage you to have a look at that in the Paladin forum on the DDO site. He's gone into a lot of detail. I've kind of used it as a template for this and then just gone with gear I had and that kind of thing. The basic premise of it is you level up taking the shield feats, but you do take two-handed fighting initially to make it a bit easier for you, give you some AoE. And then when you get to 31, you swap the two-handed fighting out for improved shield bash, and then take at 31 the two-handed speciality. So basically you end up with more or less the total of the two-handed feats plus the shield feats, which is quite nice. If you don't remove the two-handed fighting, you can't take that two-handed speciality. So just be advised of that. It is a little bit slow to level. It's not the strongest by any means because you're kind of leveling a tanky shield shield build that it doesn't have a shield if you're doing it with a two-hander. So it's a bit suboptimal, but when you get to the cap, I don't think you'll have many complaints. It's very robust. If you like to run on your own, I would definitely recommend to give it a go. If you've had, especially if you've had trouble soloing and dying in more difficult content, this might be. It's not going to set any speed records because the damage is mediocre compared to many of the out and out damage builds. But I don't know how your mileage is, but my mileage is when I'm on my own with one of those, like my RT Red. If he's faced with the tough situation and something's in his face, he doesn't generally last very long if he can't get rid of it straight away. Whereas this thing can. So depends what kind of things you prioritize. I think it would do best as part of a small group where the attention was broadly focused on this character and other people at the back, maybe more squishy characters, were just lobbing all sorts of stuff onto the action area without being threatened themselves. I think that's where it would perform well. So we'll have a quick look at the things that make it tick. So raise Asimar, very nice. 60 heal amp, 30 positive spell power to help with our constantly spammed renewal. Some strength in the cause. 3 attack and damage against evil, and as we know, evil is all prevalent in DDO. Bastard sword proficiency, melee power, and vulnerability on targets. So loads of nice stuff there. I know everybody says, "Oh, we haven't got the racial points to do it." Some of the stuff in here is good enough, in my opinion at least, that you could justify putting points in here even if you don't have racial points on the character, just taking them out of somewhere else. But that's just me. Knight of the Chalice, 60 heal amp in there as well. 2 nice AoE cleaves at the top. If you count the smite, there's a third cleave there. We had a bit of a debate, didn't we, with a couple of you? Is it worth putting the 6 points in for Exalted Smite? And the result of that was yes. And I can concur. It's very good. It's an AoE, hits nastily, and synergizes well with some of the other stuff the build is trying to do. So just for using it, you get 5 melee power for 10 seconds. And also, if you have 5 Sanctified Fervor Filigree, you get a minute's worth of 25 melee power, assuming a pure Paladin, which is really nice. Now, the purists would say you should swap a weapon in and put that filigree in it and do that every minute, but to me that would break the fun, and I would probably just forget anyway. So no, as few weapon swaps as possible. I think my limit is about swap to a different weapon for a boss battle, say. That's about my limit. Or maybe if I want to trigger the temporary hit points from a rage, but we don't have rage on this build. I don't have a boss beating weapon either, but the weapon I have to show you today is very nice, so I look forward to you seeing that. Otherwise, in this tree, we've got a load of stuff related to favoured weapon, hit and damage with favoured weapon. We've got our extra smites, extra imbue dice in the cause, our all-important battle trance, and unlike the universal trees, which don't have the insight bonus to attack, we have that here, so we shouldn't run into some of these to-hit issues that other builds might do. 8 points in Vistani for the all-important haste boost. Now, I wanted to... You could make it easier for yourself by leveling this with a two-hander, and Great Sword, you do get Great Sword as favoured weapon in here, I think. So from very early on, you could have the benefits of the favoured weapon, the imbue, and the extra hit and damage. I made it difficult for myself because I wanted to see how it would play with a sword and shield. So that being the case, I put my big investment in Vanguard until I reached the level 23, where you can get in Crusader, you can get the bastard sword as favoured weapon, and that's the point at which I respect. But oh, let's just have a quick look what nice things we've got in the Vanguard tree. We've got melee combat speed and boosting up the shield power in the cores. We have extra hit and damage on this line. That's a nice one. That's a 3. That translates to 3 more dodge. Our dodge isn't very good in medium armor. We've got only 17, but that is boosted by the regular use of the excellent quick cutter. At least 2 of you have mentioned that, and it's every bit as good as you said. If you'll notice there in the middle, quick, 6% dodge, duration 9 seconds, and it ignores the dodge cap, so we normally end up at 23 when we're in combat, which is nice. Otherwise, Vanguard has a couple of other nice things as well. We have the excellent 2 seconds shield deflection for missiles, and that's pretty good too. Unfortunately, it doesn't use our strike through, so we can only use it on 1 target at a time. The cooldown is rather long as well, but when something nasty comes along that needs to be contained, like a Red Crown or maybe a Vengeance Reaper or something that you want to leave to the end, it's quite nice to have. So epic trees, pretty much as Mech has it laid out in his build. So we've got Crusader as the main one. I did try with Sunder, but I couldn't get the Sunder DC high enough, and to get that effect, you need to actually succeed in sundering the target to get the divine sundering that's mentioned there. So I gave up on that and just stuck with the stunning shield. Other nice things in here, we've got attack and damage. You could take extra shield bash chance if you wanted. I think we're at 70 odd for that. I think that's okay. Magic missile immunity and more defenses. That one's a very important one. Extra damage to your smite. We've got the Holy Mantle, so our alignment lawful good is helping now for DR purposes, which good is one of the ones you really want to have somehow. If you don't have it any other way, I would suggest to slot it somewhere on your weapon, because that's one of the key ones. I think people would say adamantine and good were the two main ones to have covered. Chances to regain smite when hit by magic, and the third one there, when we're in trouble, basically, a consecrate can happen at our location, which is lovely. A bit more absorption and PRR, some more double strike, and then when we go up here, even better now with the smite, the entire party gets the crusade buff for 4 seconds each time we smite. It does seem to be a little bit buggy. It doesn't go off all the time. I've tried it with a party member, and he was saying he wasn't always getting it when he could see me smite, but it goes off enough to be useful, to be helpful. And also there's a nice defensive bonus there, you can see. The shield becomes a favoured weapon, so it carries our imbue, I think, and basically just boosting the damage up because it can double strike now too. This one, the extra law damage, it's a little bit underwhelming because I think the actual number is 100%, not 200%, but still, it's something. And the feat itself, the embodiment of law, is giving us PRR, MRR, and 2 imbue dice, so taking that isn't terrible. And then the usual crit multiplier on a 19 and 20. Fury Tree, I had originally gone with the Dreadnought for action boosts and that kind of thing, but this one is probably a bit more rounded for us. It gets us the excellent epic strike, the quick cutter, as mentioned. This synergizes well with our gear, because the +3 crit threat range, when paired with our guard breaking, you can see at the bottom there on our shield, on critical hits, enemies become dazed. So it's helping our CC even more, that, if it doesn't kill the things outright. We've got Cold Iron DR bypass in there. We've got some more double strike here. And this one, very important, the third point there is giving our Primal Scream the ability to do like a heal spell based on melee power. So that's lovely. When we're in trouble, we hit that. Sentinel, renewal, spamming that all the time. I do have the energy resistance there. The Paladin does get the energy resistance spell, so that's just me being lazy. This one is really good for the sword and shield build. So 15 PRR as well as 6 double strike. That's probably 3 of the best points we'll ever spend. We do have 15 more PRR in there because I did pick up the Divine Bulwark feat on the way up. We don't actually use that stance. We're in precision stance here, but it's getting us an extra 10 PRR anyway. Other thing I particularly like in here is the immunity to knockdown, especially if you're going in on your own. If you get knocked down by like a rock throwing Slad or Hezro and they all come and surround you, it's game over. So being more robust on that score is definitely helpful, especially if you're in a small group or you're alone. Quick look at the important spells stroke buffs. So we've got Righteous Command for extra melee power. This one, really good Angel Skin. That gives, it says max level 20, but it goes above that. If you look at the PRR and MRR there now, 325, it's gone to 352, so we're getting 27 on each for that. And it's it says max level 20 at the bottom there, doesn't it? But then caster level 27 and no max caster level. So I don't know what's happening there. I do know that if it stays like that, the higher up the level the level cap goes, the more helpful this thing becomes. That's a really big chunk on top that. I was being upset that I couldn't get certain items in from Vecna. There's a pair of gloves and some glasses that give you a 20 stacking PRR and MRR respectively, and I couldn't seem to fit them into the gear that I had planned. But that angel skin's gone some way towards redressing the balance. The PRR there for a non-tank is pretty decent, I think. The MRR's a bit lacking, but I've tried my best. So otherwise we've got Holy Sword, which unfortunately, as good as it is, only works on the main weapon. Neither Holy Sword nor the Patience Feat, which I also have, because you're supposed to take that apparently with a strike-through build, which this is. Neither of those works to help the shield, even though our shield in our hands is being used as a weapon. So that's a little bit of a shame. 10 double strike there, lovely stuff. AoE protection from evil, quite nice. Death Ward, probably less relevant to us because we're immune to energy drain anyway with that core, but to cast on others is nice. And the lazy energy resistance, as mentioned. The two short-term buffs, which I must always keep up, the Prayer, helping our damage saves, attack rolls, and skills, and the Divine Might, our trance, helping some of the same. In times of real need, I can click on that for another 6 bonus to strength. That's come from one of the Illithid invasion quests. 6 psionic bonus to strength for a minute, so handy for boss fights if I remember it. I think that's about it. Okay, let's see if we can take him into a quest. Oh, I didn't. Did I mention the smite thing? I think I did. Every smite we do, we get 5 melee power, and because of the sanctified fervor filigree we have on our weapon, we get another 25 melee power for a minute just for doing a smite. I think I can show you there. Look, it just pops up on the bar. I might, as well as I've touched on it already, just quickly go into the gear. So we've got 3 pieces of what's it called, Sora Kell. These are not so much for the pieces themselves as the bonuses. Can you see just the what have we got? 25 on universal spell power, 30 PRR, 3 to hit and damage, 3 imbue dice, which would be a rare augment in the Mithranor set. 15 on helpless damage, which is another rare augment in the Mithranor set, and 3 on all ability scores. That's just for having these 3 pieces. Now, granted, the 3 pieces, ring, hands, and trinket, particularly the trinket, are rubbish for our build stats wise, but the set bonus is very good. And having the trinket as our artifact opens up possibilities for swappings like Heart of Sulamades and the 2-headed platinum piece, the spell absorb one from Saltmarsh, in times of need. So maybe it's not all that bad. Otherwise, it's nice that these 2 are the weapon and shield are part of the Vecna Forbidden Knowledge set. So we only had to find 3 other pieces: cloak, neck piece, not amazing, but sonic absorption situationally useful, like in Hunt and Hunted or against those screaming dinos. Insightful MRR is really what that's there for. And the other piece is the armor, of course. Parrying is nice, freedom of movement nice. We've got our fortification there. So yes, 5, and the 5-piece set there again, giving us loads of good stuff. Profane, all the profane stuff. So more PRR, more on ability scores, more attack and damage. Just the profane equivalents of a lot of the artifact stuff that we had on the other side. So nice to have, and then rounded out with some Myth Drano bits. These goggles are excellent. If you've tried the heroic version and been upset that you get slowed down every time the rage wears off, this one's different and for some reason doesn't have that effect, but does seriously boost up your strength and is it melee power, con, and damage? Yeah, very nice. We've got extra melee power and healing amp and some nice offensive stats on the crown, another Mithranor item with another crap curse on, you'll notice. Another lovely, oh, this isn't Mithranor, this is the Night Brigade chain, but for a strength build, that's excellent. That's a total, if you include Ram's Might, of 20 strength, 18 on the item. Ram's Might is 2, and then another 2 damage from Ram's Might as well. That's pretty awesome. That too is a Mithranor item. Bit more niche, really just there for the deception, the sneak attack damage bonus. The boots are the first example I can think of one item having all 4 of the standard absorbs on it. Really, really nice to have. And of course you can see I've slotted into some of the sun and moon slots. I've slotted some bits and pieces, augments to round out the build, like we've got bonus to MRR there. Here we've got bonus to healing amp. There I took some melee power. Here we've got the other melee power, artifact and profane. And then this one we've got double strike. So all useful to help the build. The sword, the piece de resistance, has so much crowd control on it like you wouldn't believe. If you haven't seen or heard of this ignition sword before, I think you would be suitably impressed. If you do any raiding, maybe you have a few of these Fire Over Morgrave raid runes, this thing is impressive. The crowd control goes off all the time. The two main elements being the paralyzing, the green outlines on the targets, like you would see on the arcane archers paralyzing arrows, and then you get the identity crisis, it calls it here. It's an effect known as legendary salt. Basically, once you've hit the thing, its movement slows to an absolute crawl, which makes it so much easier for you to then dispatch the thing afterwards. There is more than that, but I'm not going to dwell on it. Got two nice augments in there. You can see the Deconstructor, which gives us adamantine bypass, and Fear Eater is nice, gives us a shot at insta-killing trash. So all in all, I think I've done okay, but we really could use a nice swap weapon for beating the bosses, which I don't have at the moment, because all this crowd control is pretty irrelevant, well, completely irrelevant against any red boss. What shall we try and show? Let's go to, I think I was doing Ravenloft. Let's go and see what mischief we can get into. Try and choose a quest with a lot of fights in it. So one thing I have realized very quickly is that you just cannot go in the middle of the crowds. Even fairly robust as we are, we would get absolutely torched if we did that. So the strategy is going to be to go and run around the edges of the groups, pick at the edges, crowd control them, and once they're all in that state, we'll have a much easier time of it when they're all slowed and paralyzed and whatnot. Of course, the purists would say, why don't you just go in there and kill them outright? I would like to try a build like that one day, but this is the one I settled on. I think he's going to be in this build for a long time. First, because it took me a while to put the gear and stuff together. And second, he doesn't really have a pressing need to TR or anything, because he's got most of the, well, he's got all the lives I want him to have, let's put it that way. Just made another stupid error there. By the time I get to any combat, those short-term buffs rather will have worn off.
Lady Wachter and Baron Valakovich are plotting each
Maybe I was
other's
unconsciously
demise.
trying to remind myself to do them.
Evil? And if so, can you tell which one that is? According to Lady Fiona Wachter, this secret
so we do have haste boost and Reaper boost as well. I've taken the Seeker boost instead, bonus to confirm crit and crit damage instead of the double strike, because our double strike, as mentioned, is almost at the cap, the 100, and anything above there on a melee, if you didn't know, is disregarded. So it seems better to take something else. I was wondering about because our fort bypass isn't the best. I was wondering if I should take the Reaper fort bypass instead. I guess it depends on the situation. So I'm going to lead with Quick Cutter. You can see it did a good job against that first one. That was the Fear Eater triggering. Aside from anything else, it's an impressive effect when that goes off.
Issues from down the hall on the left and reverberates throughout the Baron's
I think I shouldn't fight him here, but I'm going to, in the interests of the content. So I keep spamming my renewal, and if something really nasty happens, I will hit the rage thing. Keep doing the quick cutter for the dodge bonus. Keep the temporary buffs up. I should actually have the rage on anyway, because it gives us a bit of a bonus to strength. Oh, is there somebody still there? So let's show you the shield stun. There you go. Happy days. Now, are they just going to run past and out of the way here? Looks like it. Okay. I guess we've got away with that. So this can be a real mess, can't it? Let's just show you a quick look in Reaper. So in Reaper we're up to 94, so we could go to 100 strength using this, which is very small potatoes for anyone using a ranged build. They could be in the mid 130s, but for me it's not terrible. We can see we've got a Despair Reaper there. Can we shield control him? Yeah, I think we did. Liberal use of the smite. You can see there's plenty of crowd control going on. There are way more optimal ways to complete this quest, by the way. I'm just trying to demonstrate that we can survive. Oh, that was beautiful. Wow, love it. That work, yeah. So just got to get into the habit of always renewing that those temp buffs, and I think we're coming up to a pinch point here, so let's have the strength as well. Plague we could do with him being shielded. Yeah, we got him with the shield. Trying to hit everything as we go to slow it all down. You can see those that at the back were crawling along that had been hit. The swirling little thing and the little sound effect, that's the guard breaking going off on the shield. That's whenever we get a critical hit. The little yellow face, there's a slay living as well that occasionally goes off on the weapon, which is nice. Insta kill. So we've actually got two potential insta kills with the Fear Eater and the Slay. Although Fear Eater, I think it has to be below 5,000 hit points, which is not very much at Legendary, is it?
Titles. The perfect collection for someone who consorts with literal
Get everything.
devils.
Yeah. Oh, the buffs have worn off. Can I displace again? Slightly envious of these Dragon Lords who have permanently on displacement, among other things. We're having to click on our little item to get that. But you've got to, I know we're not clearing it the fastest ever, but you've got to love the crowd control on this thing, haven't you? It's giving them very little chance to do anything back to us. Let's just try and demonstrate. I'll hit him once. Watch now. Watch the speed. Look how slow he is. That's the Legendary Salt. Oh, this guy's a problem, isn't he? Now then, how much damage is he gonna... Not so much, I don't think. Okay. That's okay. Can we get that crown stunned? Yeah, we did. So I'm trying, not always succeeding, trying to always be around the periphery of the group instead of in the middle of it. Trying not to let them attack me, you know, in the back and all that. You can see there our thirst for blood. It's telling you what it gives. So 10 melee power, 8 con, 5 damage. That's some serious triggerage. Shall we go with the strength again? Let's do it. Have we got one of those? Oh, we do. A red thing here. I should be throwing the smite in more. I've got still almost 20 of the buggers. You have one. Oh, that was a bit feeble.
Does a double
I think the strength boost will still be running. Let's try and get the most of them slowed down if we can. You see this, the pace is slowed a bit now. Even the sort of mini boss there, the Frank something or other, was slow. Okay, grab our little things out of there.
Baubles and flummery, distractions from the inevitable.
I did actually manage for the first time the other day, testing the build, to solo the Vision of Destruction in the marketplace, albeit only on normal, but for me, considering I lasted 10 seconds in there the first time I ever set foot in it on my druid, that was a big change of fortunes, so I will happily take that. So let's try and CC the dogs first, get rid of them. Remembering our rage if we need. No epic moment of note on this build is a little bit unfortunate, but as you can see, on a half decent level, I know it's older content, but even so, it's generally tougher as a melee being up in the face of the opponents than, you know, a ranged or a caster when you don't have to have the beating coming back your way. So I'm quite pleased with how it's looking. It's I did try a Grim and Barrett on Reaper 8 and did okay there. I did manage to complete it, but only because I never got a Doom Reaper. So it's been fun. It's survivable. You're never gonna do the biggest damage, but I mean, for the softer raids that we like to do, sometimes we just do with 2 or 3 of us something on normal difficulty, and for that kind of thing, any kind of tanking, he could probably handle most of it on the earlier raids. Things like the Master Artificer, where you've got to go and sit on top of the Titan, who's otherwise would gun down all the rest of the party. So, yeah, I think it's quite a versatile thing to bring to the table when there isn't an out-and-out tank. And unlike the out-and-out tank, this thing can at least do some damage. So that's a plus too. Aside from anything else, it's been a proper learning experience, you know, learning how the mechanics of the shield bashing and that kind of thing. What works, what doesn't. I have experimented with all sorts of stuff that I'd never tried before. Like in Sentinel here, there's this Into the Fray. When you first go in with a melee attack, you can get 25 PRR, MRR, and plus 6 damage for, is it 5 seconds? Yes, but it doesn't reoccur for at least 10 seconds. So if you're doing something like a raid where you're constantly in combat, it's just going to be a wasted thing. I suppose it's better for like what I've just done, I guess. Questing where you're going from one group, you beat them, you go to the next, and it's up again. Just gives you that cushion when you step in to get them all crowd controlled, and by then, when the thing wears off, you don't need it anymore. So it could have been a good choice for me, that. I did try. I decided against it because it wasn't triggering enough for me, but I'd recommend to at least experiment with it anyway. I think that's about it for this one. So, as mentioned, I'm going to stay at the cap for a long time with this build. There are certain other melee ones I would like to try. For this, it was a toss-up between this one and the Tronco posted a nice one in the Barbarian forum with a Kukri, a Shader Kai Kukri build. Again, heavy investment in the racial tree to get those chain attacks. That sounded like a lot of fun, but that involved, I think you have to get a pure class there. You have to use a lesser heart, because obviously Shader Kai starts with a level of rogue, which generally isn't ideal for the build. But I did really like the look of that. Maybe one day I'll do something with Shader Kai chains and see how that goes. But yeah, totally happy with how this has gone. Initially I got rather hammered, but the game has a way of sort of telling you that you're doing it wrong. If you're dying too much, you're sort of ignoring some of the feedback it's giving you. So I took that on board, stopped going like a lemming into the middle of all the opponents, and better results ensued. I hope that was okay for you all. As I mentioned, I hope all your transfers went well, and that you're enjoying the questing and the atmosphere on the new servers. I look forward to discovering that for myself on Moonsea in time. I think we're planning to move in maybe a couple of weeks. There's no rush. So I'll wish you all happy questing, and I will see you next time. Take care.